Hello, I'm Kit Duval, and as this year's Chair of Judges, I'm thrilled to welcome you to the announcement of the 2025 Women's Prize for Fiction longlist.
Good Girl, Aria Aber. This is a highly emotive psychedelic read with writing that is poetic and incredibly moving. Set in Berlin's artistic underground, it follows Nilla, a young woman born to Afghan parents as she comes to terms with her identity.
Dream Count, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This book explores fragile female friendships and deals with race, with class, with motherhood, with the absence of motherhood. It's completely vivid and real, fantastic dialogue and stories that will stay with you long after you finish reading.
The Ministry of Time, Kalyan Bradley. This is a genre-bending novel. It's sci-fi, it's romance, a spy thriller, fantasy and historical fiction about a civil servant who falls in love with a man from 1847. This book was addictive, propulsive and a total joy to read.
Somewhere Else, Jenny Deiches. This was a beautiful book about a young child who escapes Poland and is adopted by a Scottish couple. It's an epic generational story about womanhood and living in a country even though you feel home is somewhere else.
Amma, Saray de Silva. I didn't want this book to end. It's a multi-generational story about a Sri Lankan woman, her daughter and her granddaughter, and spans decades and countries from Sri Lanka to New Zealand. It shows how societal judgments on women have changed over time, and there are so many powerful scenes in it that have stayed with me long after I finished the book.
Crooked Seeds, Karen Jennings. This book is set in Cape Town. It's a sort of mystery book, but also about alcoholism. It made my skin crawl in the best possible way.
All Fours, Miranda July. This is a conversation starting book. The minute I finished it, I ordered copies for all of my friends. It feels like part manifesto, part battle cry.
The Persians, Sanam Malouji. This book is full of larger-than-life characters and rich in Iranian history and glamour. It's funny, gutsy, confident writing with shifting voices and different modes of storytelling.
Nesting, Roisin O'Donnell. This book is written about a subject we don't see written about enough. It's about domestic violence. Really strong narrative voice with lots of sympathy and empathy, and yet all the information that you need that we really should have about what happens when people flee a domestic violence situation.
The Dream Hotel, Layla Lalami. It's a book that explores the consequences of a society that becomes hyper-reliant on algorithms. And the world created by Layla seems scarily within reach. I've not stopped thinking about it.
A Little Trickery, Rosanna Pike. It is about the wonderful Tib Ingleby, who is a heroine of epic proportions. It's just wonderful, charming, brilliant. It is almost Chaucerian.
The Safekeep, Yael van der Wouden. The writing is next level. It's a beautiful story about a character who is, to begin with at least, not likeable. And it's a story that has not been told before and yet something we all feel we should know. It's great.
The Artist, Lucy Steeds. Set during the First World War in Provence, it's about a journalist who goes to interview reclusive and eminent artists. The writing is so beautiful, the descriptions of the art is immersive. I could smell the paints, feel the fabrics and see the light in the studio.
Birding, Rose Ruane. So this book really speaks to the reality of being a woman, not just now, but also coming of age in the 90s and the noughties. I highlighted the whole thing on my Kindle.
Fundamentally, Nusaiba Yunus. It's a complex story about the bureaucracy of the UN. It opened up for me a world I'd never ever thought about. It's irreverent, it's funny, it's clever and it's really enjoyable.
Tell Me Everything, Elizabeth Strout. It's a story about ordinary people and their stories are so wonderfully woven together here. It's a book with a real symphonic feel, full of emotional truth, intimate conversation and propulsive energy.
It was really tough getting so many books down to the long list that we've had today. but we are very proud of these books and how they show some of the best writing from women all over the world this year.